What are HR manager interview questions you should expect when interviewing for the position? Hey friends, Josh here, founder of HR University, and in this video we'll walk through 15 questions that you can expect to be asked when you're applying for the HR management position. But before we get into it, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for regular HR University updates. Now let's go ahead and dive in. So ideally, when you appear for your HR manager interview, you should be able to discuss in detail the HR operations at your previous company. Strong interpersonal skills, including a high level of tact, diplomacy, and objectivity, are important in this position. This means when questions are asked, they can be based on personal opinions, role-specific, behavioral, and situational scenarios. Let's have a look at these questions. Starting with a most common personal question the recruiter can ask you, which is, tell me a little bit about yourself. Now, this can be expected in most interviews and is usually meant to open up the dialogue. And this is where the recruiter simply wants you to speak about yourself. So hold your nerves and keep your response brief. Try to avoid unnecessary details and don't speak a lot about your personal life. Instead, summarize your education and employment history and show that what is on your resume is true and holds place within your timeline of events when repeated on the spot. You can explain what your responsibilities are and describe a project or initiative that you're working on now. Highlight what you're passionate about in areas of success. The next question we have, and what the interviewer may ask you, is where do you see yourself in 5 years? From this, the interviewer is trying to find out if your goals align with the opportunities the position or organization can offer. So be honest. Let them know if you'd like to specialize in a certain area or other aspirations that you may have. Explain what steps you're planning to take to make this happen too. If you're not sure, then be forthright about the options you're considering. You want them to know you are ambitious and have given this topic some thought. You can emphasize your commitment to this particular position while you figure out your future endeavors. The third question here is, why are you pursuing this HR manager role? Your answer should make the interviewer clear on your intentions as to why you are interested in this specific job and this specific industry vertical, and that you're not just sending out mass applications. Speak to them about the research you have done on the organization, why it appeals to you, and how you would be a good fit. You can also share why you want to leave your current position. Indicate your desire for more of a challenge with increased responsibility that will make better use of your talent. But be careful, do not voice negative thoughts about your current or past employers. That's a very negative sign to the person who's interviewing you. Now let's move on to role-specific interview questions. And the fourth question here is, how does your experience and educational background qualify you for this position? The interviewer wants to see if the kind of experience and education you have translates well into this position. So you need to provide details. This is your opportunity to directly tie your previous responsibilities and achievements to what's listed in the job description and to the HR management fundamentals. Our fifth question on the topic is, as an HR person, what is your view on job eliminations? In the HR field, you often have to make tough calls. And one of those, sometimes unfortunately, is job eliminations, whether through layoffs or firing. That probably shouldn't be the first move you make though. But when that doesn't work out or an employee does something particularly bad, there comes a point when you need to let an employee go for the good of the company. And it's important to communicate to your potential employer that you understand it. Moving on to the next question. How do you deal with an unethical situation? Do you have any examples? It's not always easy to stand up for the right thing, but if you're in HR, it's expected of you. You can't answer this question simply by commenting on unethical practices that you've witnessed. You need to talk about a time when you saw something going wrong and you took concrete action against it. If you don't have a relevant firsthand experience to share, make sure to brainstorm a hypothetical scenario beforehand and think of how you would remedy the situation. Now let's have a look at our seventh question in the list. What is your experience with HR software systems? Modern HR relies heavily on software and data, and ideally, employers will see candidates who already have experience with the programs they have in place or are looking to implement. If you haven't worked with their system, explain the extent of your experience with other systems and also your ability to quickly learn new tools and software, and place an emphasis on the fact that you're tech savvy. Now let's move on to the next question. You'll be asked to describe your management style. Answering the management styles question is important because it shows where you lean and lets the interviewer know how you like to lead and how you like to be led. However, it's also essential to indicate your flexibility and openness to try new methods that the organization embraces. Be sure to emphasize your experience with motivating and coaching employees with actual examples from your past HR roles. If you're seeking your first management position, you can describe the management approach you have admired in others and plan to adopt. And now for the next question. This one is pretty direct. Recruiters or the person interviewing you may simply ask, explain how you work under pressure. HR managers must remain composed, think logically, and act appropriately in challenging circumstances. You need to show a potential employer that you are capable of this. Be prepared to give an example of how you've learned to deal with pressure in professional situations with problem solving, time management, and decision-making skills. The 10th question we have is an important one. What is your experience in dealing with conflict within an organization? Resolving interpersonal conflicts is a crucial responsibility for HR managers. The interviewer wants assurance that you have the ability to see the big picture of the situation, understand both sides, and sort out the dispute professionally. Provide an example of a conflict resolution incident and explain the situation, how it was created, and the specific actions you took to create a positive outcome. Now for the 11th question. What experience do you have leading a project team as an HR manager? This question aims to determine if you can handle problems and provide solutions while leading a team and working on a project. Your response should reflect strong communication skills and your ability to motivate people and get to the source of problems. If you haven't led an HR project team, you can share a time that you observed great leadership from a team you were on. You can also use an example of when you've led a team in another field or a volunteer role from your personal life where it led to a positive impact. Now, the 12th question. What is your recruiting strategy for finding qualified applicants? The interviewer wants to find out if your recruitment approach fits with the organization's current practices or could bring in some needed improvements. It's important to show that you have good judgment with a comprehensive plan that involves the crucial elements such as understanding precisely what is required for open positions to match candidates who have the right skills, well-written and defined job posts that incorporate the employer brand, effective communication with applicants, and a thorough application and interviewing process. Also using innovative recruiting methods such as social media, niche job boards, previous applicants, and more. Now for the 13th question, what do you foresee happening in the next 5 years that will change and shape HR? Savvy HR managers are well aware of how prevalent changes in the industry. They must stay current with emerging HR trends. Let the interviewer know that you have a grasp on what may affect HR and the direction it's heading. Choose a topic such as remote hiring and working, artificial intelligence, or diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging, and discuss its future impact. If you can cite information from HR trade publications, conferences, or other sources, you'll show that you're keeping up with the latest industry research and developments. Now for the 14th question. How do you introduce the idea to change something in the company to other employees? Change is inevitable for every workplace, so you need to demonstrate your ability to implement it. Share a situation where you've had to convince a group of employees that a certain change was necessary. Express that you understand that most people are comfortable with their routines and may resist variations, so you try to understand and validate their perspective instead of just asserting your authority. Also explain how you set an example of a positive attitude about the change, even if you had conflicting feelings about it. And now for the last question. Have you ever chosen to deviate from company policy while working in HR? Enforcing policies is a key function of an HR manager. Because no policy can be perfectly applied to every situation though, there are times when you need to have sound judgment to make tough calls or propose modifications. If you have been in this type of scenario, explain how you put a great deal of thought into it and decided that the deviation was justifiable. Be sure to name specific reasons why you chose to take the risk. And there you have it. We just covered some of the most popular HR manager interview questions. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it and subscribe to HR University YouTube channel. And that way you can get updated with everything HR. And I'll go ahead and see you in some of our following videos. Cheers.